2023 Minnesota Vikings offseason is in full swing as we welcome you inside the TCO studios. My name is Gabe Henderson. That's Matt Daniels, Vikings special teams coordinator. And Matt, I'm going to do this one time and one time only. Congratulations are in order. Your Duke Blue Devils beat my Tar Heels.
Bless us.
Twice this year, and I'm going to just leave it at that.
Twice this year.
Twice this year, yeah. We'll leave it at that because we can go in the past and talk about that. But this past week, NFL Combine 2023. For this Minnesota Vikings team, we know what the offense and defensive, holes or, strengths and weaknesses are. But for you, special teams, what was your thought process being at the Combine last week?
Yeah, I know you think you look at it and we got Brian Asamoah, who's probably going to take the next step from a defensive standpoint. So you're kind of looking to fill that linebacker role. We got Andrew DePaula, who's a free agent. We got Greg Joseph, who's a free agent. Both of those guys who we're looking to gain back. But you know how the free agency market goes, never, in terms of what they're asking for. Obviously, we want both of those guys back, and so those are our intentions. But you got to keep your antennas up, just kind of looking at what the specialist group in this draft class does have to offer. But I love looking at those skill positions. The corners, the safeties really shine a bright light. And so I'm excited about what this draft class looks like. And if you know me and you know Coach Hat, I love rookies. I love rookies. And so it's going to be very, very interesting on how we go about this process and looking to fill some voids. Kane Nwangwu probably might end up taking the next step. Looking to get Todd Chandler involved in the running back room, as Alex Madison is a free agent who we're looking to gain back. And so you'll see a lot of guys end up having to take those next steps, and we'll kind of look to fill the void.
You just talked about Coach Hat, and before we, talk a little bit more about the Combine, everybody knows you as Coach Hat. We got mutual friends. They call you Hat D. And
yeah, they do, yeah.
If you know Hat D, the first thing they said is, used to bring the leather.
Used to bring the hat. Used to bring the hat. Used to bring the hat.
And just understanding that, how much of that aggressiveness do you look for when it comes to your special teams guys?
Yeah, I think that's at the forefront of it all. We always talk about it, even when I came into Minnesota and I had that first press. It was simple approach with an aggressive mindset, and that's kind of what my play style was as a player. And so obviously they say your unit is going to take on the identity of whoever it is leading the room, and so that's kind of me as my personality. I'm an open, very transparent person, elite communicator, but at the end of the day I am an aggressive minded set person. And so with that, it's always on the attack. We pinning our ears back and we're humming. And the Coach Hat nickname kind of fortifies that. Brings it really to the forefront.
I love it, man. And just going from that initial press conference last year, I remember you saying you had a meeting with Kevin O'Connell and you were like, hey, I want these 5 guys as special teams guys. And he basically said, no, you need to
you shrink that. You need to shrink that.
So with 5 picks or, potentially 5 or so picks in this upcoming draft, how do you stand up on the table and say, this guy should be a special teams guy. I want this guy.
Yeah, see, that's where you always kind of get into a bind a little bit. And so you try to find those guys who do have elite skills from a position standpoint, but also has something to offer from a special team standpoint. And so you look at a guy like Brian Asamoah, who we took in the 3rd round, who had, what we consider to be high elite traits as a linebacker. But when I cut the tape on, you see a starting linebacker at Oklahoma, but he's also starting on the punt team too. And so you don't see that a lot from the collegiate level where you're getting starting caliber players playing on special teams, but also starting on defense. And so my antennas quickly go up when I see those type of players. And it's usually, it's matrimony from a defensive special team standpoint when this guy's really good on defense, but he also has a special team traits to offer as well.
What traits go into being that elite special teams player like Brian Asamoah?
Well, I think the biggest thing is it's a combo of speed, power, and the ability to make plays in space. And so that guy, Brian Asamoah, has all of those elite traits of he's fast as ever. He has the ability to make you miss in the open field, to work edges on blocks. But not only that, but he has the ability to down the football in the open space. And, he's a true, unbelievable athlete doing it.
Man, and just speaking of just players that have played special teams, a guy that comes to mind is Lewis Seen last year, who played before he got injured. Unfortunately, got injured on special teams.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when you draft a 1st-round pick like that, fan base wise, you expect all those guys to play right away. So for you, what is the process of putting a young first round early draft pick on special teams to get those reps up?
Yeah, I think when you come into this league, so I always try to explain it to rookies to where the NFL is an all-star league, right? And so what happens is as all of these guys come together, you're getting All-Americans, you're getting all SEC players, you're getting the Big 12 players, you're getting, the MVPs and this and that. And so you got to understand and realize that every single body in this league had some type of accolade, premier accolade. And you have to understand that everybody has to play special teams. It doesn't matter if you're a first round pick, second round pick, third round pick. Everyone has to contribute in some form or fashion, right? Harrison Smith even had to play on special teams, right, as a young pup on kickoff. Adam Thielen made his heyday as a special teams guy before he had the opportunity to go and become an elite receiver in this league. And so as you look at it, you can look at a lot of stories of great elite players who had to start on special teams, and that's kind of where you build up that trust and faith from a coaching standpoint, to where let me see if you can do this job on special teams first before I trust and believe you to do your job on defense or offense or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, that's an interesting take, because I'm also thinking about in the division, Jamison Williams, Detroit Lions, first round pick, special teams.
Special teams. He started as a gunner, right? I mean, he was a 12th pick overall in the draft, but his first snaps that he got was on special teams. It wasn't that receiver.
That's crazy.
Right? And so it's all a part of the growth process, though, and the maturation of these players as they come into the league as rookies, right? And you're just trying to find a way to kind of get their feet wet, just kind of see what type of accountability and ownership that they have. And from a coaching standpoint, can we trust you to do this job before we really, hand over and put a lot on your plate?
I love that. I'm going to end it on this, because you guys are going to implement your system, and it's going to be seen by millions of people.
Yeah, year two, man. Year two implementing.
What do you want year two to look like?
Yeah, I think when you look at year one, it was kind of like, it was a roller coaster of a year. And as I look back at it, and we talk about the growth and maturation of players, but there was a growth and maturation process that took place with me as a play caller and me as a leader in terms of how I dressed up my personnel, making sure I'm making, as Coach Flores, right, he talks about, being aggressive. Man, what was it? He said in his press conference.
Aggressive but not reckless.
There you go, aggressive, not reckless. And, be honest, maybe there were times where I might have made some reckless decisions, right, as a rookie coordinator. And so I learned from those things. And I'm excited about where we're going, where I'm getting the leadership and Josh Metellus and Troy Dye and guys like DJ Wanham and Patrick Jones, who are going into their third and fourth year, but they never played special teams.
Crazy.
In their careers. And so, those are the guys that I'm looking to step up and make heyday in terms of what I'm asking their job responsibility to be. So going into year two, we got to continue on. Obviously, we got an elite return at Canadian Wanwu. Like I said, the first half of the year, I did a disservice to that young man and the schematics that we were running. And so I learned from that. And, we saw pay dirt hit from New England, and quite frankly, on from that. And so, not really going to be too much of a roller coaster year next year. I think it's just going to just keep trending in the right direction, or at least that's what we all hope for and want. But no, I'm looking really for the players to kind of take a lot more ownership in this thing, and we're going to continue to have this level of two-way flow of communication, which is what I'm really big on, and continue to offer up ideas and take on ideas from the players, so that way, it's us collaboratively working amongst one another and not just me kind of throwing everything at the kitchen sink of what I think is best.
I love it. Right now, every team is undefeated, and it's a three-phase game. Offense, defense, special teams.
Yeah.
That's Special Teams Coordinator Matt Daniels. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, appreciate y'all. Appreciate you, G.